Hi, and welcome to the video presentation from the course Password Security. My name is Michael Johnston, and I'm a computing lecturer in a local further education college who lectures in web design and cybersecurity. You can follow me on Twitter and visit my website where I write on education and computing. This presentation is on the need for strong passwords. And my first question to you is, how strong is your password? Now, I mean, how strong is your password really? I'm not asking if it was rated as strong on a website, be it Facebook or Twitter. I'm asking how long would it take a computer to crack your password? In this session, we will see this in action and prove how we can make strong passwords that are also easy to remember. Here's some quick UK statistics from the last 12 months. 88% of UK businesses, small, medium and large businesses, have reported cyber breaches of some kind in the last year. There's an average cost of businesses of all sizes just over £3,000, with that rising to just over £5,000 for medium and large firms. Every day in the UK, there are 65,000 attempts to hack small or medium businesses, and of this, there are 4,500 successful attempts. That means one small business is hacked every 19 seconds, and this equates to 1.6 million of the 5.7 million small and medium businesses per year in the UK. In 2019, there were just under 145 million new malware samples. Already in 2020, we've reached 38.48 million. That was in January to April. 1 in 3,722 emails in the UK is a phishing attempt. However, I personally would challenge this because on one of my email accounts, I would get a phishing attempt near enough every other day. And you may find that too, but phishing is a huge cybersecurity risk. You may be sitting there as a teacher thinking, well, what does that matter? I'm a teacher in a school. You've been talking about businesses. Well, the Cybersecurity Breaches Survey found that 41% of primary schools had identified breaches, 76% of post-primary schools had identified breaches, and a massive 80% of all FE and HE institutions had identified breaches of some kind. This breaches survey then gives us a breakdown of what this looks like. This table shows a breakdown of the type of breaches that the different school sectors have experienced in the last 12 months. Within our student body, there is a group of students that may be experimenting with cyber attacks. It's very difficult to identify the hacker, and so they may feel emboldened by the virtually risk-free anonymity that this gives them. But we as teachers need to understand this as a gateway experience. The student who is sending fraudulent emails today may be delivering ransomware tomorrow. With experience comes more mature and complex attacks, and as teachers, we may be an unwitting focus of an attack. Practicing good password security is one way to avoid these attacks. Almost all the education institutions surveyed have taken at least one of the actions shown in the table in the last 12 months to help identify cybersecurity risks. This is a higher rate than for UK businesses, and the further and higher education institutions in the sample tended to have a more diverse range of activities, including external audits and using threat intelligence. In the case of cybersecurity breaches, the primary schools in this sample tend to have a slightly less developed incident response plan, as this table suggests. They are less likely than other education institutions to have roles and responsibilities assigned to specific individuals, and less likely to have communication plans. It is nonetheless worth noting that these results put primary schools on a par with the typical large businesses, while other education institutions seem to be further ahead than most large businesses in their governance processes. Is an encouraging table. It shows how much schools have in place to protect themselves, but we could be doing better. The areas for important improvement are backing up data, both via a cloud service and by other means. Monitoring user activity and having separate Wi-Fi networks for staff and visitors are also important aspects to put in place. But I can appreciate in this day and age particularly that schools have a very tight budget, and spending on cyber defences might seem like an extravagance at present. There are things we can all do that don't require financial investment. And for you, well, depending on where you work, the risk can be greater. On the whole, there are an increasing number of attacks on schools, primary, post-primary, FE and HE. When we add social media into the mix, a potential hack is made easier when the hacker has any of your information, even an email. This is a perfect way to deliver spyware or malware that can watch what you do, what sites you visit, and what passwords you use by using keystroke recording software. So we need to be aware of the risk that using simple and guessable password poses to us. So let's look at some of the myths and misconceptions about our passwords. Replacing letters with digits or symbols does not make you much more secure. So if we take the word house, House, substituting out the O for a zero, or substituting the S for a $sign, or most complex in this, using a capital H, 0, U, $3, does not make you much more secure. Password cracking programs are programmed to look for these replacements. Next, we should never be using passwords over and over again. It doesn't matter if it's strong, if it's breached once, then it is still breached and it can be exploited. And the first thing a hacker will do is once they get a way in, they will try and find multiple ways in to your information. We should never store passwords on a notes document, on a Word document, or a spreadsheet. It's just not secure or safe. And it's even less so if you call any of those documents passwords. So what makes a strong password? Well, traditional strong passwords will be unique. They will consist of at least 10 characters. They will have a combination of numbers, symbols, uppercase letters and lowercase letters. They won't be a dictionary word or a combination of dictionary words, and they won't rely on obvious substitutions, as you can see in the two examples. But that is traditionally strong passwords. I want to show you how we can make memorable passwords that are also strong. Password like the one on the screen, which I'm not going to read out, is secure, but as you can see, it is completely unhelpful unless you have a photographic memory, which I'll assume you're like me and you don't. You might find it easier, however, to remember a sentence like, the first house I ever lived in was 613 Farm Street, the rent was £400 per month. We can turn that sentence into a password by using the first digits of each word, and you can see how that would look in that form. We can remember the first house that we ever lived in. It may be the first house you lived in as an adult after university. You will remember how much the rent was. Chances are a hacker will not know that private information to you. You could also use the first house you ever lived in as a baby. You will probably have asked your parents how much the rent was or how much the mortgage was, and so you still have that information. As a password, it's a strong password of 21 digits. We could say that a true random password might include a few more numbers and symbols and uppercase letters and scrambled around, but it's a good start. It's not a bad password at all. And best of all, it can be memorable to you. You just need to remember those two simple sentences. And if they're personal to you, substituting the addresses and the price per month, it will be memorable. This method is called the passphrase or Diceware method. I'm more familiar with it as the passphrase method, so I'll refer to it as that. The first line in this cartoon shows how we have built passwords. It's a word, it has capital letters, it has numbers, it has symbols, but it's not easy to remember. But in the middle picture, it's easy for a computer to guess. It will take, with 1,000 guesses per second, it will take a computer 3 days to crack that password. But it's not easy for us to remember. But if we look at the second row, those 4 words, correct, horse, battery, staple, are 4 random common words and are potentially a lot easier to remember. It will take a computer at 1,000 guesses per second, 550 years to crack that password. That puts us at a hard difficulty setting to guess. And if it's easy for us to remember, as in the last image, then we're in it onto a winner. Through 20 years of conditioning and effort, we've trained people to use passwords that are hard for humans to remember, but easy for computers to guess. We want to move that and flip that on its head. We want to make passwords that are hard for computers to guess, easy for us to remember. We're going to take a quick demonstration and show you just how secure our passwords are using this password test on myonelogin.com. And we'll use the passwords we've already discussed in this presentation. The very basic password. We might as well, like it says, just leave the door wide open and leave a hot cup of tea for whoever wants to come in. It's not going to cut it. We've discussed the word house, and if I play around with house, no matter what I do, as you can see, it really doesn't improve the password. And this applies to any word that we could use, because the test algorithms are set up to substitute these sort of letters, and any hacker worth his or her salt will know to substitute these letters for symbols also. If we then move on to family members, we pick son's name, daughter's name, spouse's name. These details are completely made up by me on the spot. They're not real at all. But as you can see, if that happened to be your daughter's name and date of birth, we're still working on very weak with 97.39 seconds. And it really doesn't matter what we put in. We're still working on weak passwords. If we take the 4-word passphrase approach and use the one that was mentioned in the presentation, correct, horse, battery, and staple, we've got a very strong password there, 65 years, which is good for a password. We could then also use things that maybe we like doing ourselves, which might not be as secure, but in terms of passwords, it could be useful. Coffee, family, technology, cycling. Again, we're looking at 871 years. We're getting into a high enough number that we really want that our secure passwords to have. However, if we then took the other 2-sentence acronym approach, I'll just type this out as I said. The first house I lived in was 613 Farm Street. Rent was £400 per month. You can see there, I've typed that as I've been saying it. I haven't been reading it, and I've done it from memory. And we've got a password there that is so strong, it's really secure. I mean, 651 million trillion years for a computer to crack that is as secure as we really want it to be. And that would be the gold standard of what we want you to aim for. I'm paraphrasing Game of Thrones here, but the point is there. Okay, we may not die, but if you lose control of an account, if you allow students to access sensitive material, or if you fall victim to a type of financial fraud, the consequences may be severe. They may be personal consequences, they may be professional consequences, but they're ones that in terms of password security, we can totally avoid. My name is Michael Johnson. I hope you've enjoyed this short presentation, and I hope that you'll continue in this course and learn how to make good, proper, strong passwords.